See, make sure we're not getting any drop frames. Seems we're not. Alright. Okay, you join us at the conclusion of the Atari 1200XL souped up upgrade marathon session. I left this on Saturday morning in a kind of a dour frame of mind because why did I leave it in a dour frame of mind? I'm trying to remember now. The thing only worked. Oh yeah, that's right. I think it was because I think it was because of the what went wrong yesterday. I put the board in upside down. And then I realized that. But I think it was just because the menu. So with this 32-in-1 module, you hold the select key down when you turn the machine on, and it brings up the configuration menu. And it only did that sort of inconsistently, and I thought I'd fixed that by replacing the pull-up resistor, which I've now made a much better job of it than I did yesterday. This is the revised pull-up resistor, and I thought it might have had something to do with that, and it seemed to. So I reworked that at the end after I went off air, but it still occasionally doesn't boot into the menu when you put the machine with the select key held down. Sometimes it just stays black. I would say about 1 out of 8, 1 out of about 10 to 20% of the time, seemingly. And yet, if you just boot normally into whichever operating system you've got selected, it works every time, which is strange. So I didn't really make a lot of progress on that. But what the owner did want doing with this machine was the preordained selection of operating systems on the 32-in-1. He wanted some of them to be replaced with customized alternative operating systems, which is what I set about doing after that. Now the odd thing was that this board has on it, I haven't seen one of these for quite a while, but the board has, I'll turn it around so you can see it. I don't want to scratch the screen. There we go. Right, let's get close in. There we go. There we go. Well, you can't actually make it out. That PLCC flash ROM is an AMIC chip. Now, AMIC chips, we often used to find them on early. Oh, hi, Atari fan. How are you doing? Nice to see you. We used to find these AMIC chips on early run Ultimate 1 megabyte boards. I think they were quite popular in Poland. I get the feeling they were relatively cheap, but they had quite a high rate of attrition. And the later boards, especially when Lotharek took over with the Ultimate 1 megabyte, would ship with SSTs, which are far more durable and far more. They play more nicely on the Atari bus. Now, Steve Tucker's upgrades, in the past I've seen a lot of Bright PLCs and AMD parts. I was quite surprised to find an AMIC chip on this board, and I figured from the benefit of experience, I figured that might be a problem when the system is not booting into a standard operating system, but it is booting into the configuration menu. So I took this chip out, read it off in the USB programmer, and tried to flash the same content to an SST 29F040 and an AMD 29F040, and neither of them would boot in this machine. In point of fact, this machine only occasionally boots unless you've got a keyboard plugged into it. That's a different story. So this board, this 32-in-1 board, appears to be tuned. I'm assuming the PIC has been tuned specifically to work with this chip, or the timings of this chip, which seems to me extremely odd. And this isn't the first time I've had problems with a 32-in-1 board. And I can cite various examples and stories of other people who sent them back, only for Steve to pronounce the board working in whichever system he's testing it in. But this doesn't necessarily concur with the experience of the end user at this end. So that's odd. So what I'd hope to do was read this off and use a hex editor to drop some different operating systems into it. Now, obviously what you would want to do, if we have a look at the menu here, wrong camera. So if we boot the thing up, to put a keyboard in. If we boot her up, the select key pressed, and see if we get any action. Now a perfect case in point, it's decided not to show up. There we go, second try. Second try is the charm. So here we got the menu. So we've got a selection of operating systems here. Now, if we go to, where are we? Is there a picture of it? A picture of the need a keyboard again. Okay. So we go here. So this is the online copy of the installation instructions, but it's interesting because it's got a picture at the bottom of the menu circa 2003, and then if we no, wrong source, window capture browser, oh yeah, bear with me while there we are. Cool. So there's the menu as it is on this machine. You see it's different. We've got, why is my mouse showing up? Capture cursor. Oh yeah, there we go. So here we've got, well, the very first option on this one is 8 Warp OS. We can see here that on the actual machine it's different. You can see the difference, it's pretty obvious. What's that noise? So it's different. Now this led the owner to believe that it was possible to customize the content of the ROM with different options, which would be pretty cool. But when I opened the ROM up in a hex editor, it was it looked as if it was heavily obfuscated somehow. I could have probably showed you this, but I think I've closed it down now. I probably could. Hold on. Let's have a look. I think that file selector on the same monitor would be nice. Okay, bear with me. I know this is a bit ponderous, but I didn't really think I was going to do this. So, okay, so here's the binary, and we will add a scene and window capture. Okay, okay, there we go. So here's the ROM, the content of the ROM. Might as well make it a bit bigger. So you can see it. So did a quick text search, and here we have what looks like the text for the menu, pretty obviously, and it's the only place in the ROM where this shows up, and it shows up in the hardware address range of the final operating system on the chip. So we're right near the top of the chip here, and this looks like the text of the ROM, and this appears to be the boot ROM itself, which starts at 7800, which is right under the hardware. Right there's the character set in the final operating system. So here's the ROM. But if we have a look at this, if we sort of format this, the strings are sort of roughly 15 characters each. But if you put this side by side with the menu that's actually showing up on the screen, it doesn't correspond at all. There's no mention of, for example, SpeedyOS, Omnimon, OmniView, and all that sort of stuff. So there's some funny stuff going on in here. I had a quick look at it in the disassembler. It does copy a chunk of code down to RAM, but I mean, this rapidly becomes a case of diminishing returns, trying to reverse engineer this boot ROM just to try and customize it. But I don't know if it's using it. I thought it might have been using some sort of tokenization system to save space in the ROM, because obviously we're very short of space. We're about, how many bytes spare have we got here? Yeah, I mean, we've got like less than a page left, nearly a page left of space here. Because if we devoted one, if you devoted one entire bank to the boot ROM, it would have been a 31 in 1 rather than a 32 in 1. So anyway, I gave up on that eventually, and the last option was to see if the Atari Max Flash Studio, because I remember some strange recollection of somebody saying that you could customize the menu by using the Max Flash Studio, and I had a look at that, and there's no mention of any Max Flash, of any 32-in-1 workbooks in the Max Flash Studio. So yeah, this looks like it's deliberately obfuscated, if you like, to be non-user alterable, and the fact that there's versions of this board floating around with different options on it just implies to me that Steve changed the selection from time to time when he was making different runs of this board. But the thing is, if you want to flash different operating systems at will in situ without having to faff on with it, because I need a TL866 just to read this chip or change what's on it. If you want to avoid that hassle, well, there is a device that will do just that. Here we go. Ultimate 1 megabyte. Now, why would you want to punish yourself with what we got here? I mean, I like Steve's stuff. I like Steve. Steve's a decent guy, and he's been supporting the scene for a long time. But what we got here, we've got $49.99 plus $4 shipping for a 32-in-1 switchless upgrade. Now, UK customers are going to have to shell out another £17.50 for import duty and VAT on this. So that's going to bring the price up to what? About 40. What's this about? Well, the pound was quite strong, but what's this? 35, 40 quid. You're going to be looking at best part of 60 quid to get this into the country. Now, if we look at the Ultimate board, because the argument is that was put to me is that, oh well, the Ultimate's only got 4 operating systems on it. The 32-in-1's got 32 operating systems on it, but you can change these at will. It takes about a minute to swap any of the 4 out for anything that you like. So you've really got, in effect, this is a ad infinitum operating system selection rather than a 4 operating system selection. You can change them as many times as you want, any time you like. So I don't really see that as a limitation. I mean, slightly less. If you find yourself in the odd position of needing to change operating systems every 5 minutes, then yeah, okay. So let's have a look. How much is this in pounds? And PLN. Okay, so an Ultimate 1 megabyte is £48.88, excluding shipping, and 49. Let's call that 50, 54. Well, $50 for that. Okay, so 38 quid for the 32-in-1, and then you can add your import duty onto that, and obviously they both require shipping to be added on. But the 32-in-1, it just does one thing. It just does operating systems, and you can't even update it in situ. And this does multiple operating systems, multiple versions of BASIC, PBI functionality, different XEGS game slots if that's your bag. It's got a real-time clock. It's got non-volatile RAM. It's got 1 megabyte of RAM on it, and it's been installed in so many machines by me and others that any stability issue, the famed, oh, but you know, Ultimate, it causes problems in different machines. It's unstable. It's got too much ribbon cable on it. Well, yeah, we've sorted all that out now. We figured the problem with the 1200XL was the noisy reset line, which we has fixed that with a capacitor between reset and ground. And I must have put the Ultimate in about 12 machines by now, 1200XL machines that is, about a dozen, and they all work. Sure, the problems arise when you start to put stuff like repeaters in the machine, alongside Ultimate 1 megabyte, but I'm still not convinced that problems don't arise even if Ultimate 1 megabyte isn't there. And the problems I've had, even in the limited number of machines I've fitted these 32-in-1 boards in, they're not immune to stability issues. We've got a stability issue on this machine here, which is unresolved, but it's not really a big deal. I mean, if the menu doesn't come up the first time, just hit reset to power it up, power cycle it again. But so if you want memory on the machine, as we've got here, we've got the Jurgen's 512 SRAM, 512K SRAM upgrade along with it. So we've got RAM, half the amount of RAM you get in an Ultimate 1 megabyte, and this thing here, and it works. But why do you want to punish yourself in this way? I don't make Ultimate 1 megabytes. I don't get any remuneration from shilling them. I get some donations from time to time for the firmware that I wrote for the thing. But why? You don't like the boot screen, you don't like the menu, I mean, turn them off. Turn the boot screen off. Turn the PBI off. But anyway, so that's the point I'm trying to make here. And with this machine, you've got two upgrades that are not known to be compatible with each other. It so happens that they work. But this Ultimate 1 megabyte has been around now for how long? 7 years? Something along 7 years? It's a mature piece of hardware. Features 4 soldered connections, fully flashable SPA.x, real-time clock, fully flashable 4 OS ROM slots, hardware write protect for the whole flash array, configurable memory expansion with 4 modes of operation, disabled 320K Rambo 576, that's a typo Litharic, it's 576, CombiShop 1080K Rambo, customizable basic and missile command slots, also flashable. I mean, what the hell more do you want in a device? Alright then. Okay, I digress. Change value on site. I'm sorry, Atari fan, I was ranting for so long that I don't even know what you're referring to. Change value on site of what? I'm sorry, I got carried away. But I don't really care what people buy, but yeah, it's nice to see. I wrote some software. It's nice to see it used. It's nice to see that people like it. But why this entire combination comes to twice the price or whatever? I don't know. But that doesn't apply to this particular machine. This wasn't a specific build. This was built from spare parts, I'm told. So maybe what I'm saying holds no water at all. But really would have saved a lot of hassle. But there you go. So what we're going to do, we're going to tidy this up. So anyway, this kit clearly wasn't a 1200XL kit. It arrived with a masked basic ROM. Now, if you want to use a masked ROM instead of an EEPROM, let me look here. Show you. So this is the underside of the top slot. Are you gonna? Hang on. Where am I trying to look? I'm trying to look here. Okay, so that's VCC on the socket. It's also got an address line that's tied to VCC, so it's held up all the time. A masked ROM, a 24-pin ROM, it's not going to fill this whole socket, so you're not even going to get any power from a masked ROM on this socket. So in Bob's PBI, if you want to put a masked ROM in the top socket of your 1200XL when you're converting it to a standard XE format, you need to bend a couple of pins up on the ROM and put some jumpers on it. And it works fine, but it looks a bit janky and lifted legs and all this stuff. So what I've done is I've got myself an EEPROM 27CE64 and I've flashed basic revision C on there. Thank God it works. It didn't upset anything because of timing issues or whatever. It works fine. So that's that basically done. It's the best I can do with it. And now the SRAM upgrade, which I've just popped in just to make sure it worked before I did another miserable failure of a stream. This is Jürgen's SRAM upgrade, and this is a really nice bit of kit. if all you want is RAM. If all you want is RAM, if you specifically want 512K of RAM and there's some compelling reason that you don't want to buy Ultimate, maybe it's cheaper, maybe whatever reason you prefer this method, which is fine. Jürgen makes really good stuff. He's a very, very nice guy, and his stuff is very reasonably priced. So he doesn't have a sort of a website per se. He has got a domain, but there's not much of a front end on it. So this is what we fitted in the machine, the SRAM board. Now the first problem I found with the 1200XL, well, the only problem I found with the 1200XL, I'll show you. I'll put chat back on in case I completely lose track. What's what? So the problem with this, if you're going to do this, I'm going to try and prise this very, very tight. I like it tight, but not that tight. Right. Well, I'm not going to take this stacked socket off, but you get the idea. Now there's a surface mount SRAM chip on the back here, using my new high frame rate webcam. Is this upside down? It is, isn't it? My super high frame rate, super smooth 10 megabit per second video. So that's the SRAM chip. It's quite thick. I think they're the same SRAMs that are on an Ultimate board, but obviously there's only one here because there's only half as much RAM on it. Well, this on a 1200XL, that hits the GTI chip, which is down here. So I had to put a stacked socket. The only way I could get this board to fit in the 1200XL was to put a stacked socket under it. And my immediate concern that this would prevent the keyboard from clearing the device and thus prevent the lid from being closed, but that was not the case. It does fit, to my amazement. But yes, something to watch out for. You will have to put a stacked socket to get this board to fit a 1200XL in order for it to clear the GTI. So that's basically the only problem here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to basically tidy everything up, and just so I can, when I eventually get around to doing an edited video about this machine, I can put the footage in some sort of ship shape to. So this is pretty simple to fit. It's color coded. The instructions are extremely clear. You need to lift pin 6 and pin 16 of the MMU and connect the colored wires to it, and connect the red wire to pin 1 of 74LS375N, which is down here. I've just wrapped this round here just for quickness because I just wanted to be sure that the thing was actually going to work before I started making a video about it, because yeah, it becomes pretty wearing when you what's all this crap here, when you keep making videos about stuff that doesn't work. But it works. So now this needs to be connected to a pin of one of these ICs. Now the funny thing about this chip, I've never seen this before. Look how crooked this socket is on here. Look at that manufacturing. Go on, focus. Look how crooked that is on the manufacturing fault. It's so tempting to try and put that right, but I should probably just leave it alone. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying now. Yeah, I don't really like soldering stuff to legs of chips, but what the hell. I'm not really in the mood to mess on with this now. So we're going to try and run our wires nice and, well, reasonably neatly. Just going to tidy it up, and then we'll be done. Yeah, so I won't make it too short. This I could understand if Ultimate 1 megabyte was like £100 or, but you get a hell of a lot for the price. I think a lot of features, and if you don't need all those features, fair enough. You know, I can fully understand that. But if you, unless you're a super purist, just don't use the stuff you don't want. Unless you're upgrading a lot of machines, if you specifically need half a dozen machines with half a megabyte of RAM in them, yeah, sure. I wouldn't expect you to kit them all out with Ultimate 1 megabytes, but especially when you start to get this feature creep of, oh well, I would like it to have I'd like it to have multiple operating systems as well, and I'd like it to have this, that, and the other on it. And once you get that to that stage, well, I think your options are clear. So what we're going to do with this to make it look a bit prettier is we're going to put some shrink tubing on these. Debating whether to chop these longer legs off. I probably should do. That means no going back, but well, screw it. So black goes to the back of the board. Brown at the front. Black at the back. Never ever imagined this machine would take as long as it did. Absolutely unbelievable. Then if you don't want to solder anything, you've got the like plug-in RAM options. I think they're a little bit hard to get hold of now. I forget what they were called. I used to have one, but I sold it. RAM 320XL or XL or yeah, and all that stuff. I think I had one years ago. Huh. Shrink tubing doofus. I'm surprised there aren't more external options for this stuff, to be honest. Really quite surprised. I always thought that IDE Plus should have had RAM on it. Well, it has got RAM on it. That's the thing. But it just has the RAM on the IDE Plus is just it's PBI RAM. Okay. But if we had you know, half a mega RAM on the board as well, then it would be kind of a all-in-one solution. Don't you go away, monitor cable, I'm watching you. You're not going to escape. A bit of an update on the C128, by the way. You might remember I was working on a Commodore 128, or was about to work on one a while ago. The Commodore 128 needed a PAL conversion, which I did, which went fine, but the picture quality through S-Video was absolutely rotten. It was as if the chroma signal had been shifted by a full color clock, and there was all the lines and everything, the clock lines and stuff. And I worked sort of, well, I pondered on it and researched it for a week or two, and then eventually just sent it back to the owner. And that kind of dour kind of atmosphere that surrounds a job where, you know, it hasn't been a great outcome, but, you know, I did what I said I was going to do. And got an email from him when the machine landed, and with these screenshots of this fantastic looking video, really great looking screenshots, and it was because he was using composite video instead of S video. He was just using the AV, and looked great. And I had read something certainly about the Commodore 64, whereby you swine, whereby composite video was sort of a little bit softer, a little bit more sort of sympathetic, if you like. Actually sometimes look better than, oh, that's great, this shrink fit doesn't actually slide along the damn wire. That's going gradually. Come on, come on. Well, see, that one works. Swine. Composite looked a bit better quite a lot of the time, and certainly was the case here. So he was absolutely delighted with it, completely happy, which was nice. I'm going to put a bit of flux on here. I love extra flux. Okay, let's try that again. Move the board around. So I'd do Commodore again after that experience. Absolutely. Okay, that looks reasonably good. I was watching the 8-bit guy, and he converted a consumer TV to RGB input, and he set fire to the shrink fit tubing, which I thought was quite interesting. He used a flame to shrink it on. Why? Well, he did. There was a caveat for this, because he explained at the end of the video why he didn't put a SCART connector on, but the TV had a cutout, like a blanking plate for a SCART connector on the back. So obviously when I saw that, I was like, why didn't he put a SCART connector on, man? He could have just milled out that blanking plate and it would have looked really good. But he explained why he didn't do that. He didn't want to use that kind of connector, which is fair enough. It was a good video, actually. Well, the 8-bit guy is quite a big channel. Speaking of which, speaking of channel size, hang on. What's this? What do you call this? Which one of you unsubscribed, you bastards? Here I am trying to get to 500 measly subscribers and some fuck unsubscribes from the channel. Bastards. Thank you very much. I just hope you're happy, whoever you are. Me getting ready to do a celebration video. I was going to give away all sorts of stuff. I was going to have a party. I was going to go wild. Somebody actually unsubscribed. Bastards. Call that supporting the community. I just hope you can live with yourself. I just hope you can live with yourself. Not that I'm, you know, sensitive or anything. God no. Right, so is anything left to do on here? Apart from test it? Again? Should we test fit it in the case? I suppose we could do. We could test fit it in the case. Move that keyboard because that's not my keyboard. See if the machine being in a case makes it behave itself. I bet whoever unsubscribed, I bet you haven't got 4 1200XLs. Ah, I get the last laugh. Okay, let's see. It boots. It boots. Right. What should we do to test it? SRAM, I suppose. Where is the... Oh, where is the SIO to PC? Oh, where on earth is that? Follow the wire. Follow the wire. Right, that wire comes down here, along here, along here, along here, and oh, ends in that. Oh. Ah, there it is. There we go. It's a bit of a shame this I couldn't customize this it's a bit of a shame I couldn't customize this ape 32-in-1 thing, because that would have been quite fun, but never mind. Okay. Respect. Respect. Da, 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 da. Look at the pretty lights. It's cool the way the lights work like that. I'm kind of regretful that I changed my expanded, upgraded 1200XL so that the lights don't do that. I gave them different purposes. So a bit of a shame because it's fun to have that little light show when it's working. Tidy the desk. So I take it that works. It appears to work. I really need the toilet now. Oh, well. I'll clean the desk first. Oh, dear me. Oh, Christ. So that was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. It appears to work. So the SIO works. Everything works. Put my motherboard back in here. What the hell can't stop yawning? God knows what it must be like for you. I think I'm going to have a look at this one. This is one of my machines. That looks like a lot of rust. Any more messages? Oh god. No, nobody cares. I tried watching a film on my Plex server last night. I've got to stop saying M all the time. Really, it's even getting on my nerves. God knows what it's like for you. Look at this extra heatsink thing here, a bit of angle line on it. Look at that. Have you seen that? Oh god. Maybe I'll upgrade this machine. I'm gonna do another one. Anyway, yeah. Plex. I've got this server in here that I've got a homemade server with FreeNAS on it. And I've been bragging about it to my wife all week, saying how wonderful it's going to be. Oh, yeah, I'm going to fill 2 terabytes of space up with films and stuff, and it's going to be awesome. I'm going to just, you know, when I'm like, John, can you download this program? And none of that shit anymore. Just no pen drives and running up and down the stairs or fuck all that. It's going to be all the media you could possibly want at your fingertips. You just go onto the TV, because it's a Samsung, and it picks up servers on the network. You just browse what you want, you know. It's going to be a wonderland of entertainment. And so it got to about 10:30 last night, and so you're going to watch this film. So I'm sitting there, just got to get a kebab in and everything. It's going to be great. It was actually a second half of a film we started watching weeks ago, and it had finished too late. We had to go to bed. So I recorded. Well, I recorded the. I tried to record the rest of it on a pen drive. The TV was playing up. I hadn't set the pen drive up properly or something. I hadn't used it for a long time because we'd actually swapped tellies. It's a long story. Swapped the TV out for a different one, which turned out to be a real dog. So I was back to the Samsung, and anyway, I tested it briefly, and it all seemed to work. You know, Plex was picking up the server, and the server was appearing as a media share on the TV, and it was it's going to be awesome. Of course, when I started the film off, and I thought, well, we've already watched the first hour of this film. Don't want to be about halfway through it. The film was called what was it called? See No Evil. It's called See No Evil, and it was a Mia Farrow film from like 1972, I think, which was the year I was born. And it's a blind girl who goes to visit relatives, and the guy whose house she stays at, like her uncle or something, is he runs over this guy. He's driving past this guy in the street who wears cowboy boots, and he runs through a puddle and it splashes this guy's boots, and he's a psycho, obviously. And so he decides to exact his revenge by killing everybody in the house. And of course, with Mia Farrow being blind, she comes back to the house from a horse ride or something. And everybody's been killed, but she doesn't know because she's blind. It was a pretty good film, actually, for a good little thriller. I like old films. I mean, I know that's not really... I call it an old film. I mean, by old films, I mean like 1950s and 60s films. Or earlier, but I guess 1972 is now an old film. So anyway, I wanted to skip the first half of the film, but you can't. To my horror, I realised you can't, when you just access the media share from the TV, there's no way to fast forward it. So I thought, oh, well, going through Plex, the app Plex on the television, and it kept crashing all the time, and it took about 45 minutes to realise all I had to do was uninstall the app and reinstall it again. But it works really well. It works really good. If it was just the avoidance of putting things on a memory stick, then I wouldn't really think it was worthwhile, but of course I can use this as a backup server, and I might put Git on it and stuff as well, possibly. See what happens. It's not the fastest network, this one, because it uses power line adapters. It's a bit slow. It's like 12 megabytes a second or something across the network. But yeah, it's really good. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So there we go. This appears to be finished, unless anybody out there can think of anything I haven't done yet. So that works. Video looks good. It's got the 32-in-1. It's got half a mega RAM on it, and all is right with the world. So I'll probably edit this down. That's really bothering me, this, but I don't want to sort of heat gun this. I'm just gonna have to leave it. It's a curiosity. I tried to actually hook the jumper up to the wrong chip at first. As subconsciously I'd noticed this crooked socket, and that had stuck in my mind. So even though I realised that this was the one I was going for, I actually tried to solder it to that. Opportunely, because the leg of the socket was exposed, so I thought, oh well, I'll solder the wire to that leg, which would have worked out great if it had been the right chip. Right, okay. Alright, so here endeth the souped up 1200XL. Let's do some sort of an ending of this, because it's going to be an edited video if I can find the energy to do it. Well, that needs a bit of a clean as well. Hold on a minute. What's that? Ink or flux residue, or just some weird discoloration on the board. That's actually the colour of the board. That's weird. Anyway, because I will edit this down at some point. Alright, so thank you for watching the... There we are. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe and give it a like if you enjoyed it. And thanks to Atari Fan for being in chat. And I will see you in the next video. So thanks again, and bye for now.